Diwali is all about lights, lamps, treats and gifts. For me, Diwali is also about making Besan Ladoos. My grandmother is known to make the best Besan Ladoos in the family, and on this special occasion, I am going to share with you her recipe for making this sweet delight. To begin with, you need to put in 1 cup or 220 grams of pure ghee. And once the ghee melts, I'm going to turn down the heat and put in about 2 cups or 250 grams of besan or chickpea flour. And this needs to be stirred continuously on low heat or else the flour will get burnt. Initially, the ghee absorbs all the flour and later on bubbles begin to appear on the surface. And after a few minutes, the mixture assumes a somewhat liquid consistency. My grandmother says to make great besan ladoos, you need to get the proportion of ingredients right and the flour has to be roasted properly. If you under roast the flour, then your ladoos will be light in color and have very little flavor, and if you over roast the flour, then you run the risk of burning it. It's been about 20 to 25 minutes. I've been stirring this all the while. It's time to put in some extra flour into this mixture. In goes about 2/3 cup of besan flour. The mixture is a bit thick now, but it will loosen up after a while. I'm going to stir this for about 8 to 10 minutes more. The besan is now nicely roasted and I can't tell you how wonderful my kitchen is smelling right now. And at this point, I'm going to turn off the heat and then put in about 8 to 10 cashews that have been chopped into pieces. I'm also going to stir in 2 tablespoons of raisins. The cashews and the raisins will get roasted in the heat. I'm going to allow this to cool down completely. This mixture is completely cool, and after this cools down, you need to stir in some cardamom powder made from the seeds of 8 cardamom pods. And then I'm going to put in some powdered sugar. I have about 2 cups of powdered sugar, 280 grams. I'm going to mix this all up together. I think this is better done with my hands. If you find that the mixture is a little loose, you can add in a little more sugar. But I think this is just right for the mixture I have over here. The mixture is now nicely mixed, and now is the time to roll this mixture into ladoos. Making besan ladoos is always a surreal experience for me. The magical aroma that fills my home while making these ladoos, the divine taste of these ladoos, and the joy of sharing them with my near and dear ones gives a lot of contentment to my heart. And aren't festivals supposed to do just that? I would like to take your leave by wishing you all a very happy Diwali. May your lives be filled with light, love, peace and joy.
Hello and welcome to Beat Batter Bake with me, Upasana. The weather is great outside and a hot cup of tea is ready. The only thing missing is a soft, crumbly cookie. And what if I tell you that the cookie has Indian flavors? Yes, you guessed it right. It's Nankhatai. For this recipe, we need 1 cup or 200 grams of ghee, 1 cup or 200 grams of caster sugar. You can also use powdered sugar. Mix it well. We have to beat this together until it becomes light and fluffy and extremely pale in color. Once this is done, let's move on to our dry ingredients. Here I have half cup or 60 grams of maida. To this I am going to add half cup or 60 grams of whole wheat flour, that is atta. Then goes in 1/4 cup or 40 grams of suji, also known as semolina. 1/4 cup or 30 grams of besan, that is chickpea flour. Then goes in half teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of elaichi powder and a pinch of salt. Mix all of this well. Now we have to mix our dry ingredients into our ghee and sugar mixture. We have to chill this dough in the fridge for around 15 to 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes and now our dough is firm enough to roll. I'm taking 1 tablespoon of the dough to roll out the Nankhatai. Place it on a very lightly greased cookie sheet. There should be some distance between the two Nankhatais. I'm going to put some pista halves on top and press it in slightly. We have to bake these in a preheated oven at 180 degrees for around 15 to 17 minutes. But please take care so that the color of the Nankhatais does not change. Our Nankhatai is out of the oven and it took 17 minutes to bake. Let it cool on the cookie sheet itself for another 5 to 7 minutes. Enjoy the soft and crumbly Nankhatai and let us know your feedback. Until next time, bye-bye.
India, being a melting pot of cultures, traditions and such a rich food history, we have so much to celebrate and rejoice. Today, let's make a quintessential Indian sweet called Ghevar. In a deep bowl, let's first take some ghee. This is melted ghee. And let's cream this now. We need to keep turning the bowl, continue whisking. It kind of aerates the entire ghee and it becomes nice, soft and creamy. And this can take anywhere between 4 to 5 minutes. Now that the melted ghee has become nice and creamy, the next ingredient that goes in is some cornstarch. Let's cream this well. Now that this mixture is well creamed, let's start adding the refined flour. I'm going to add this in 2 to 3 batches So first is to add the first lot, mix it well, and add in some water. If you've noted this recipe, it's a mix of fat and water. That's the reason why you cream the ghee first and then incorporate the flours and the water. So keep creaming it well. And now that this is all well done, let's add in the next batch of refined flour. Once this mixes well, I'm going to add in the next batch of water and continue mixing this till it becomes a nice homogeneous batter. Scrape the sides so that it becomes nice and even and there are absolutely no lumps in the batter. And finally, the last batch of flour and water. Once this is nicely mixed, the last ingredient that goes in, baking soda. Let's mix this well and the Ghevar batter is ready. Let's keep this aside and let's move to step 2, which is making the sugar syrup. For this, I'm going to heat a pan, add in the sugar, and along with this, some water. Let's give this a quick mix and allow the sugar to melt. Now if you notice, this sugar syrup is a little pale yellow in color. So let's clear this of all the impurities. For that, there's a small little home trick. Let's take a tablespoon of milk and splash this in the syrup. Let this bubble nicely. And just in 30 to 40 seconds, you will see that all the impurities rise right on the top. These impurities that have now collected on the surface of the syrup need to be skimmed. So I'm now going to carefully remove all of this and transfer it in another bowl. These collected impurities can now be thrown away, and the syrup needs to be cooking till it forms a one-string consistency syrup. Let's take a little bit of the syrup. Once it moderately becomes cooler in the spoon, let's take it between the index finger and the thumb. And when you press it and lift the finger, you see a string-like consistency. Now this is a one-string consistency syrup. The syrup is now ready. Off goes the flame, and I'm splashing in some rose water for some extra flavor. Now that the batter and the sugar syrup are both ready, let's look at how to fry the Ghevar. A little crucial, a little difficult, but don't worry, I'll make it easier for you. So the first step is to take ghee in a saucepan. Let's melt this ghee on moderate flame. Now that this ghee has heated up, I'm transferring this to another burner and let this continue heating on low flame. Well, alternately, let's understand this apparatus. Well, here is a vessel with a flat bottom and relatively shallower. And here I have a cookie cutter or a cake ring, whichever was available. This goes on a burner with the ring cutter right in the center. And now if you notice, I'm transferring a little bit of this ghee till half this ring is now submerged in ghee. Let's increase the heat to high flame and let the ghee heat up completely. Now that the ghee has heated up, let's turn the flame to moderate heat and let's add in the batter. How? Let's see. Let's take a few spoonfuls of this batter and spoon by spoon, let's drop it right in the center of the ring mold. Once the bubbles settle in, add in the other spoon. Once this gets a light brown tinge, let's add in the ghee, which is bubbling right next to this. And this is what forms the beautiful honeycomb-like texture. So here if you see, the Ghevar has now released itself completely. Let's pick this now and transfer this straight in the sugar syrup. Let's splash in some sugar syrup. Let this be in for exactly 30 seconds. Let's lift this very carefully without breaking. Let's place this on a plate and let's start making the other ones. Our Ghevars are ready. Let's garnish and begin to serve. For this, let's start cutting some almonds and pistachios. Let's sprinkle this on top of the Ghevar. After this, I'm going to garnish this with some gold leaf. Well, you can alternately also use silver leaf. Well, it's popularly in Hindi known as vark. And finally, some rose petals. So here is the special festive Ghevar ready for your friends and family. Do try this at home, and for the detailed measurements, check the description box below.
How can we welcome this auspicious time into our lives without something sweet to bite into? So here you go, the recipe for the delicious Badam Burfi just for you guys. I have 1 cup of almonds soaked in hot water for 1 hour, and now I'm going to remove the skin. The skin is going to peel off very easily. And now I'm going to pat dry these almonds. Make sure they're completely dry. So on a kitchen napkin, I'm going to spread these almonds and dry them out. Just fold the napkin and pat dry them properly. The almonds have dried completely, and now I'm going to grind them into a fine powder in the mixie. So let's add them. Give it a light stir. Make sure the oil from the almonds doesn't ooze out. And the last time. Feel it between your fingers, and if you don't find any granules, that means it's done. I think this is ready. Next, I'm going to soak some saffron strands in milk. For that, I have 2 tablespoons of milk and 1/4 teaspoon of saffron strands. Let it soak for 5 minutes. Next, let's get cooking. I have 3/4 cup sugar here. Use a thick bottom non-stick to make this recipe. Add 1/2 cup of water. Turn on the flame. Keep stirring till the sugar dissolves. Let the sugar syrup come to a boil. The sugar syrup has to boil till you get a single thread consistency like this. That means the sugar syrup is ready. And this is ready. And now I'm going to add the almond mix. Mix it well with the sugar syrup. It's now time to add the saffron infused milk. Keep stirring for a minute. And now at the end, I'm going to add a teaspoon of ghee and 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom powder. Mix it well. Once you feel the almond mixture has stopped sticking to the pan, turn off the flame. Get it off the flame and remove it immediately in a greased tin or a plate that you're going to mold it in. Make sure you're a little quick in doing this. Remove the mixture from the hot pan immediately after you're done. I've greased the back of a steel bowl with ghee, and now with the help of the steel bowl, just spread it onto the tray. Smoothen it out properly, and now I'm going to garnish it with some almond flakes. Dab them down so that they stick. Before the burfi cools down completely, I'm going to cut it into pieces. Clean the edges first. Let's make the squares. Let the burfi set at least for half an hour before you remove the pieces, and then they are ready to bite in. Take an upside down steel plate and flip it over. Unmold it. Flip it once again using another plate. The almond burfi looks perfectly set. I can't wait to cut out the pieces. This badam burfi tastes delicious. I wish I could share it with you guys right now. But since I cannot do that, I'm going to leave a lot of good wishes for you and your family. Milk and Indian sweets go hand in hand. You can't imagine one without the other. And topping my list is Rasmalai. It takes me to another high. So let me reveal the sweet secrets of this tasty treat. I'm going to start with boiling 1 liter of full-fat milk. Let the milk boil for at least 5 to 7 minutes first. Take around 2 tablespoons of milk, and I'm just going to soak a few saffron strands in the milk. Let's keep this aside. Keep stirring the milk periodically, otherwise it's going to start sticking to the pan, and also scrape out the cream that gets stuck to the rim. I have a bowl of cold milk over here, and I'm going to sweeten it with powdered sugar. And also I'm going to cheat over here by adding color so that I get a nice yellow color to the milk. Once the sugar is mixed nicely in the milk, I'm going to squeeze out all the sugar syrup from the rasgullas and soak them in this milk. You can see they're swelled back in the original shape because it's absorbed all the milk now. Let them soak in this milk for some time. The milk is boiling since 7 minutes, and now I'm going to add some sugar. And again let it reduce. Whenever you're boiling milk, especially for Indian sweets, make sure you use a steel or an aluminium pan, not a non-stick one. You can see the milk is reduced quite a bit. Totally it's been boiling since 14-15 minutes, and now I'm going to flavor it with some roasted cardamom powder. Also I'm going to add the soaked saffron. You can see the beautiful color. It's pretty expensive, so make sure you use every strand of it. Boil it for a minute. The milk is boiled to the perfect consistency, and now I'm going to let it cool down for at least 1 hour. Let it come down to room temperature completely before we add the rasgullas. The milk is completely cooled down now, and I'm going to add a few drops of color. Don't add the color while boiling. And now I'm going to add the soaked rasgullas in. Let's plate this. And also garnish it with some chopped pistachio flakes and some chopped almond flakes. And my rasmalai is ready. Be sure to serve absolutely chilled, and I can't wait to bite into them. So here I go.